if I have to learn defense, and this is the trick, and I had a great chat with Jerry as well in a November Test match series and talking about the defensive systems at the box. But I'm a young coach, or I'm a coach, has zero expertise when it comes to defense. What are the basic fundamentals that I need to focus on if I want to learn more about defense and about how to coach it? What are the maybe 3 to 5 key fundamentals that we should be focusing on?
Well, first of all, you always got to understand the style of defense you want to coach. Now, there's going to be a fundamental that never changed, kind of like you're talking about just your scrum dominator stuff, where the reason the box can weaponize their scrum is because they train with functional explosive physicality for their scrum. And so in rugby, unfortunately, some people train the collisions, whether it's maul, scrums, tackle, etc., the right way, the functional explosive right way, with the right amount of power endurance, triple collision efforts, etc., and they will always dominate. And there's guys who train it just below that, and just it's not enough to cope for 80 minutes. Okay, but the first thing I would say is, any defense coach, decide what defensive style you're going to choose, whether it's a blitz, super blitz, medium press and check, soft drift, whatever you're going to choose, which I'm going to tell you which I prefer in a minute and why. But you got to choose a defensive style that you feel you gravitated towards, and it's going to suit your personality, and you're going to be able to manage. That's the first thing. Okay. Obviously, stretch yourself. Don't just go for drift, because everyone defaults to drift because it's easiest, because it's low risk, but it's high pain because you defend for too long. There's a lot of complicated factors. Push, go. I got you inside. No, I don't have you inside. Oh, there's still runners on the outside. It's confusing. So you've got to be careful about what you choose. But choose your system. Second of all, there's a framework for defense, and it starts on a triangle, and at the bottom, just like scrum stuff, you could apply this to scrums, is physicality. And I harp on about this. Physicality means, or you call it the physical, is functional, explosive, defensive conditioning, okay? Which includes the running loads, anaerobic, aerobic running loads, triple collision efforts, power endurance, reload, reform, speed off the ground. All those things are under physical. So physical is not just be physical. It's how I teach you to move, like excel, decel smoothly, fold around a corner smoothly, don't be clunky, get off smoothly, dominate, push, pull. All that stuff is part of physical, because I've got to make you a functional athlete. Like with your scrum stuff, which you're unbelievable with your scrum stuff, bro, is like how smooth you are and engage, how low you can go, how you can maintain that scrum core, the neck stability and strength. Without that, you've got no scrum. Same thing with defense. If I move clunky, I'm not going to bang anybody. I mean, if I can't bang time and time again, so if I can't bang, bounce, get up, counteract, or get up straight away, make another tackle again straight away, and create a dogfight, I'm nowhere. So if you don't have the physical expertise to understand what builds an intensive defensive human being, you've got nothing. Because the biggest thing is, as an individual defender, I've got to be a man island. I've got to be a dog fighter. I've got to be a killer. And that's a process. It's like making a good cake. So physical first. And a defense coach has got to know how to coordinate these things with the conditioning coach. So when you come into a preseason, say, this is my style of defense. I like, hitting upstairs, triple collision efforts, line speed, excels, decels at absolute pace. I'm probably going to need 5-6 high intensity efforts at a time. This is how I see it playing out. How can we allocate time, and how can we mix it with your training regime, your global periodization? And periodization just means what to do, when to do it, how hard to do it. How can we collaborate so it works for the entire conditioning regime? So any defensive coach, you've got to know that stuff. You cannot just go do mindless drills, etc. Because if you don't start with physicality and you start with system, you're not going to have match demands. The moment you miss the window for match demands, you're finished. Okay, so I've said to you before, in my career, I've been a fixer-upper by default, not design, from helping the Springbok Sevens, being with Racing, Stormers, Sharks, Stafonse, etc., Worcester Warriors about to be relegated. Every time we came to a fixer-upper job and a team that was tanking, the same thing remained. In a 20-odd years sample set is the best teams who are flying have always got the ability to win the game line, they understand how they win games, and they underpin it with a periodization that supports how they win. So however you decide to win, you underpin it with match demands and great periodization, and then you have total alignment. Those are the 3 big factors. So teams who struggle don't know how they win and can't maintain it because they don't have the match demands for it. So if you understand how to create match demands in the style of defense you like, you're already halfway through the battle. The second thing is your technical ability. Now, people talk about technical, tactical too quick. Tactical means I make adjustments to what we do to win games because I'm already so on top of my physical. I'm so on top of my technical is insurmountable. But off the ball, reload, reform, scan, early nomination, point and talk, like I'm just unassailable. And then I say, hey, my line-out system, my scrum system, I can create an ambush in a situation because fundamentally we're so bloody good. You can't talk about tactics, which is actually a finite change that can actually give you an edge to win a game. You can't go tactical before your pyramid's sorted out. It's like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs for human needs. The first thing is safety and security, and then self-actualization's at the top. You can't talk about self-actualization and being one with the universe first if you're starving and hungry and don't have a place to live. And that's the same thing. Defense, where it lives, is in physicality, functional explosive conditioning. And then you can be technical, and then you can be tactical.
Man, there's so much to chew on there. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain defense like that and the fundamentals. And I definitely agree with you, especially when it comes to the physicality part. If I take it back to our days at the Bulls, the way we trained. We actually trained collisions in a controlled environment. We'd have those mats, but you would have the ball carrier run full on and you had to execute that technique with precision. Otherwise, you would get hurt. So, and you needed to be effective. But what I enjoyed, I think, obviously as a coach, and I was fortunate enough to be part of La Rochelle's coaching team for 4 years. It was brilliant, and working with guys like Rog and Roman Carmignani. And I was fortunate in the past also to work with Jacques Nienaber as well and John McFarlane. And I hope one day we can work together, man. That would be awesome. But I think it will create a nuclear explosion with our energy levels. I don't think so we'll have to take turns. We're going to have to tone it down. I don't think it will.
Well, I think we'll complement each other in the physicality, but I agree. We're going to have shifts. Who goes high, who goes low.
Yeah, we're going to have to. It won't even be a whole good cop, bad cop. It's going to be a low energy cop, high energy cop. But,
I love it.
Oh, man. But Omar, you mentioned it, and this is where I think it's great that, for the people that are listening, it's not just coaches listening to this podcast. It's people that love the game. And people that is passionate about the game and want to learn about it. And you mentioned there, and I would like you to list them again because I think I might have missed the one or two. You spoke about the defensive systems. You get the blitz defense, you get the super blitz, and then there's also the defense where you're controlling a bit. You called it drift defense, if I'm not mistaken. If you could just list them again.
Yeah, sure. So if you go with the traditional first, is a soft drift. The soft drift is you go up, you let everything unfold, and when they do what they do, then you hit. Okay. And the problem with that is you're always reactive. You're relying on them to do what they do, and you contain for long periods of time. The more aggressive version, which is just one step up, is the press and check. So I go 3 steps press, check, check, also unfold, but a bit squarer, not as sideways. And I'm a little bit more proactive, but I let them do what they do. Blitz, for a lot of people, like I've got a lot of clients in different time zones, and I've got probably, because I've got 10 or 11 pro coaches from around the world, and I've got a lot of semi-pros and amateurs. And one of the things that comes out straight away is they go to a blitz at times, and they call blitz the first 4 guys and the rest wait and assess. Yeah. That is, for me, that's not even really blitz, but that's what most people think blitz is. The first inside pressure is quite high, as in fast, and the rest is like, okay, let's see, and then maybe I'll hit. Where when I say out and out super blitz or sonic blitz is fly to the limit of your speed and where they're going to catch the ball as fast as you can to catch them. The outside's coming to the absolute limit of the read at the same time. And if they just make one extra move on a second or third pass, it's hit all the way through. And if they hit on a second or third pass, you've hit, these guys make their move, you reload fast, and it's fly again straight away on both sides. So they can't jack back. And every time they make a pass, someone's in their face, someone's in their face, someone's in their face. That is like sonic blitz. That's the entire team moving on flight at pace with full focus. There's no half-assing it.
Yeah.
And it only works when you do it that fast. So you see the problem with training blitz is people don't really know what an XL 0 to 3, 0 to 5, 0 to 10 at absolute pace are. And you've got to train that. Then decel, retreat, take off again. The reason blitz fails is they don't get the movement part right first. So you don't move as fast as you can. You miss the jump, they get the pass away, you go, blitz doesn't work. It's like, how good were you at getting to your max speed and reading every single time? 6 out of 10. Well, that's not fast enough, and it's not focused enough. So that's a sort of ultimate level. And the box use it, and very few teams use it, but the best of the best will use it. England have got faster again, and they're causing teams problems. because they're coming up high on the outside very quickly. And it's like, oh, how do I go around? Oh, go back inside. Go back inside and you get clocked.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people, when we look at the Bok defense, think sometimes it's like we see the loads of space on the outside, and sometimes teams think, oh, there's space outside, but actually it's not there. If you're actually hitting your targets, if you got a line moving together, and like you're saying, you're really accelerating and moving as one, that space is actually what we always refer to example. We often see in the scrum, you got a tight head boring in or trying to come in. I said he's chasing fake space. He's chasing space that doesn't exist. So, and I think that's the same in defense, and that's so great. And I always tell coaches as well, you got to choose your system, and that is brilliant. Blitz, super blitz, soft drift, press and check. And I do feel, and I agree with you, a lot of coaches, and when you have a defensive system where it's not clear, I've seen that firsthand over the last 4 years at times when we struggled a bit with our D at La Rochelle. The issue came when players were not sure of their assignments and when to call what defense. Because when you're oxy, when you're depleted on energy, you've just had ball in play for 3.5 to 4 minutes, you're not registering, where you're just kind of like an autopilot, then it's tough to make those calls. So maybe if they are how can you make a system work where you got like your blitz, but like, then you're like, when you're in trouble, you kind of like wait, you kind of like hang. How can you manage that as a coach?
Listen, that's the hardest situation. It's unreal that you've said in a long sequence where you've gone, like hypothetically, you've gone transition attack, you lose the ball. They get the ball, you transition defend. They put a chip over, you scramble, you boot it straight back, and it's a long, long sequence. I agree with you. That is a very gray area of how to get back in control. It is. And sometimes you've got to just say, whew, like you just go steady. We're dying here, just steady for a second till we can catch our breath. So they are called steady, whatever you want to call it. Once you've called steady, within 2-3 phases that it's slowed down, as in not the ball's necessarily as slow as you'd like, but the pattern of play, like kick back, kick return, line break, stop, and it's just my ball, your ball, my ball, your ball. Once they've had the ball 2-3 phases again, you've just recovered, then you catch your breath and you attempt to go as quick as you can again. And what you base it on is, once you settle yourself down, you're based on the flight of the ball, the speed of the ball, and being situationally trained like that. So in training, when you're absolutely fatigued out your butt and you get blind broke because you go on your own and everyone else too moch or too tired, the next time we say, listen, that sequence is 4.5 minutes. When you felt your legs couldn't move, we need to get that call in. Okay. But you don't want to do that too much, because if you encourage that early on in sequences, then no one will get off the line. And that becomes a problem.